My dear students, welcome to today's video class. Myself Sanjay Kumar Behra, lecturer in Zoology, Narendra Vidya Mandir Plus 2 Science College. Our today's topic is Chapter 1, Living World, and the topic is History of Classification. Chapter 1, Living World, second class, and the topic is History of Classification. What is classification? Classification, जोटा कि ओडिया रे कहा जाउछि वर्गीकरण, that is orderly grouping of animals. Orderly grouping of animals. Simply, grouping of animals is the classification, but which based on similarities and dissimilarities. Similarities and dissimilarities is said to be as a classification. So what is the classification? Orderly grouping of animals. विभिन्न प्रकारर एनिमल को आमे गोटे डेफिनाइट ऑर्डर रे ग्रुपिंग करबा कहा को बेस करके ना बेस्ड ऑन सिमिलरिटीज एंड डिसिमिलरिटीज सेमानकर सिमिलर कैरेक्टर डिसिमिलर कैरेक्टर को नहीं आमे ग्रुपिंग करबा प्रोसेस को कहबा में क्लासिफिकेशन बोली की कहबा एंड study of classification is said to be taxonomy. बायोलॉजी रे जो ब्रांच रे कि आमे क्लासिफिकेशन को पढ़िबा सेही ब्रांच को आमे कहबा टैक्सोनॉमी बोली की कहबा. And the term taxonomy, first of all, coined by Tandole. The term taxonomy coined by Tandole. So what is taxonomy? Study of classification is said to be taxonomy. Another one, systematic. What is systematic? It is the study of identification. It is the study of identification. What is identification? चिन्हट करिबा. Then nomenclature नामकरण करिबा. क्लासिफिकेशन सेमानकर ग्रुपिंग करिबा. So study of identification, nomenclature, classification and interrelationship among organism is said to be systematic. Again, study of identification चिन्हट करिबा, nomenclature नामकरण करिबा, classification सेमानकु ग्रुपिंग करिबा एवं सेमानक मध्य जो इंटर रिलेशनशिप रहुछि कैरेक्टर रे सामंजस्य रहुछि ये सब गुड़ा को नहीं पढ़ा साइंस को गाला सिस्टमैटिक एंड द टर्म सिस्टमैटिक given by the term given by scientist Linnaeus, Carolus Linnaeus. So classification, the orderly grouping of animals based on similarities and dissimilarities is said to be classification. Study of classification is taxonomy. The term taxonomy coined by Candolle, and study of identification, nomenclature, classification, interrelationship among organisms is systematic, and the term systematic, first of all given by Carolus Linnaeus. Classification. Why classification is essential? आम classification कहीं पढ़ा दरकार क्लासिफिकेशन रे आम कौन सब पढ़ा बर्तमान आम ता विषय बुझा क्लासिफिकेशन इन द लिविंग वर्ल्ड millions of species are present from unicellular organism to multicellular, that means from amoeba to human being. In the living world, there are millions of species of animals, and to identify, to know about a particular animal, जदि आमे गोटे निर्दिष्ट एनिमल विषय रे किछि जानिबा पई चाहुचे ताहेले आमको ए क्लासिफिकेशन को ही जिबा को हो काहे कि ना क्लासिफिकेशन रे कोन करा जाय छी ना प्रत्येक एनिमल को ऑर्डरली ग्रुपिंग करा जाय छी विथ स्पेसिफिक कैरेक्टर निर्दिष्ट कैरेक्टर को नै कि एमान को सब ग्रुपिंग करा जाय छी जेमिति कि जदि गोटिया में देखिबा एककोशी एवं बहुकोशी यूनिसेलुलर ऑर्गेनिज्म जदि कहबा ताहेले आमे बुझिले एमिबा को मल्टी सेलुलर वेल डेवलप्ड ऑर्गेनिज्म जदि कहबा लेट आमे बुझुचे ताको ह्यूमन बीइंग को जदि आमे आउ गोटे ग्रुप रे कहबा इनवर्टिब्रेट अमेरुदंडी प्राणी एवं वर्टिब्रेट जदि आमे गोटे वार्ड कहले अमेरुदंडी इनवर्टिब्रेट्स ता माने आमे एठी विभिन्न प्रकार एनिमल को बुझिले जेमति कि हमर स्पंजेस ठारो आरंभ करके आमे जाउछे तारा माछ पर्यंत स्टारफिश जदि आमे गोटे ग्रुप कहबा इनवर्टिब्रेट अमेरुदंडी प्राणी ताहेले आमे बुझुछे जे स्पंज ठारू तारा माछ जातीय एनिमल पर्यंत रहिले हमर अमेरुदंडी प्राणी गुड़ाक एवं फिश टू मामल ये हला हमर वर्टिब्रेट जदि हम मेरुदंडी प्राणी बोले कि कहबा तारे फिश टू मामल अमेरुदंडी कहबा स्पंज टू स्टारफिश एमाने गोटे गोटे ग्रुपिंग आसीगल एई सब ग्रुपिंग एवं या भीतर थिबा प्रत्येक एनिमल विषय जदि हम जानिबा पाई जिबा ताहले हमको क्लासिफिकेशन जानिबा को पड़े टू नो डिटेल अबाउट a particular animal, we have to study about the classification, which store detailed information about different type of animals and also shows the interrelationship among different type of organisms. And classification shows the origin and formation of species in the living world. That means the unicellular animals developed earlier than that of the higher developed vertebrates or mammals. पृथ्वी को जदि आम ये देखा ताहले पृथ्वी को प्रथम आसिले एककोशी एमिबा जातीय एनिमल एवं वर्तमान स्टेज आमर मामाल माने अछंती जो माने कि हायर डेवलप्ड एनिमल लाइक द ह्यूमन बीइंग। ये है हमर ब्रीफ डिस्कशन अबाउट क्लासिफिकेशन। आमे काहे के क्लासिफिकेशन को जिबा सिंपल थिंग to know detail about a specific group of animal, to know detailed information about a particular group of animal. And this classification, first of all, explained by Aristotle. Classification को प्रथमे आरंभ करथिले ग्रीक फिलोसोफर Aristotle. I've already told you, he was the Greek philosopher. He also considered as father of biology and zoology. Why? Because he first of all differentiated the livings from non-livings, livings from non-livings, and animals from plants. Aristotle, he was the Greek philosopher जे कि प्रथमरे सजीव मानकु निर्जीव मानक ठारो अलगा करथिले, एनिमल मानकु प्लांट ठारो अलगा करथिले. So he considered as a father of biology and father of zoology. He later on classified the animals in two different groups. The animals divided into two different groups. Those are Anaima and Inaima. Anaima, that means it includes group of animals without RBC in blood. प्रथम Aristotle एमती का गोटे एनिमल ग्रुप कले जार ना देथिले से एनाइमा, जो एनिमल मानकर ब्लड रे आरबीसी नथिला, आरबीसी रेड ब्लड कर्पसल लोहित रक्त कणिका, जो एनिमल गुडाकर ब्लड रे आरबीसी नथिला से मानकु नै से गोटे ग्रुप कले, दैट इज एनाइमा. And what is Inaima? That means the animals with RBC in blood. जो मानकर ब्लड रे RBC रहिला से मानकु आउ गोटे ग्रुप करा गला एनाइमा. So first of all Aristotle differentiate the animals into two groups, Anaima and Inaima. Animals without RBC in blood, Anaima. Animals with RBC in blood, Inaima. Inaima group again divided into two different groups. One is oviparous and other one is viviparous. What is oviparous? Animals who lays egg or egg-laying animals. Egg-laying animals. They are considered as oviparous. What is viviparous? Animals who give birth to young one. Inanima further differentiated into two different groups. Oviparous, अंडा देवा एनिमल मानकु oviparous कुहागला एवं those who give birth to young one जे कि छुआ जन्म करନ୍ତି सेमानकु कुहागला viviparous. This type of classification जोटा कि हमरो प्रथम रे Aristotle देथिले. This type of classification may considered as an artificial system of classification, which I will discuss in later step. So, first of all, Aristotle differentiates the animals into two groups, Anima and Inanima. Then Inanima into two groups, oviparous and viviparous. Later on, another scientist, Carolus Linnaeus, Carolus Linnaeus, he was the father of classification. He was father of classification. He published his scheme of classification. He published his scheme of classification in his book Genera Plantarum, Species Plantarum, Genera Plantarum in 1737, Species Plantarum in 1757, and another book, Systema Naturae, in 1758. Carolus Linnaeus published his scheme of classification in his book Genera Plantarum in 1737, Species Plantarum in 1757, and Systema Naturae in 1758. In this book, Systema Naturae, he listed about 4,236 species of animals. Systema Naturae book Linnaeus 4,236 प्रजातिर एनिमल मानक विषय से डिटेल एक्सप्लेन करथिले इन हिज बुक सिस्टेमा नेचुरा. First Aristotle, then Carolus Linnaeus, and then some other scientists like George Cuvier. He was considered a dictator of biology. The system of classification of Carolus Linnaeus considered as a natural system of classification. Linnaeus' system of classification. Linnaeus' system of classification or natural system of classification. The little bit modification of classification by Carlos Linnaeus considered the natural system of classification or Linnaean system of classification, and this natural system of classification belongs to Carlos Linnaeus, and George Cuvier laid the foundation of natural system of classification. So he considered as dictator of biology. The natural system of classification belongs to Carlos Linnaeus, but George Cuvier laid the foundation of this system of classification. He was considered as dictator of biology. Then, next, about the different types of classification. There are three different types of classification. One is artificial system classification, natural system classification, and the modern system of classification. Number one, artificial system of classification. Number two, natural system of classification. And number three, modern system of classification. There are three different types of classification: artificial, natural, and modern system of classification. The first classification is artificial. Little bit modified form is natural system, and the expansion theory of a natural system of classification and the classification of today is the modern system of classification. The expansion of natural system of classification is the modern system of classification. जो classification को वर्तमान हमें पहुँचे, that is the modern system of classification, but सेटा आरंभ होइतिला artificial system classification रो by Aristotle and Pliny. By Aristotle and Pliny. According to this system of classification, the classification based on comparison of one or two characters. This artificial system classification based on comparison of one or two characters in deciding the position of a group. Deciding the position of a group. That means this classification based on only one or two characters. Just like according to Aristotle, there are two different groups of animals. One is Anaima, other one is the Inaima. Basing on one character, that is presence of RBC in blood or absence of RBC in blood. If RBC present in blood, Inaima, If RBC absent in blood, that is anemia. One or two characters. Again, anemia divided into two groups: oviparous and viviparous. Oviparous and viviparous. The egg-laying animals, oviparous, and those who give birth to young one, viviparous. अंडा देवा एनिमल को oviparous कहगला, छुआ जन्म करिवा एनिमल को viviparous बोलिकी कहगला. This system of classification shows heterogeneous assemblage of unrelated organism. What is heterogeneous? Hetero, different type origin. विभिन्न प्रकारर अनरिलेटेड विभिन्न प्रकारर एनिमल को नेकी गोटिए ग्रुप करागला. Let best example in oviparous. This group includes maybe the fish, maybe the amphibian, reptiles, birds, and mammal also like platypus. Oviparous animal includes different type of unrelated animals. विभिन्न प्रकारर एनिमल को नेकी आमे गोटिए ग्रुप कर देले सेथि जोगु गोटिए एनिमल विषय रे आमे सठिक इन्फॉर्मेशन एई प्रकार क्लासिफिकेशन रो पाई परिबा नाही. ठीक समिति viviparous, that means mostly all mammals are viviparous. Some snake like viper, they are also viviparous. Scoliodon also viviparous. Some animals they are viviparous, but they show heterogeneous assemblage of organism. So this system of classification not accepted. As this classification based on mostly habit and habitat. This type of classification based on one or two characters, that is the habit and habitat. This shows heterogeneous assemblage of organism, and the criteria used for this classification is arbitrary. What is arbitrary? निज इच्छा मुताबक निज इच्छा को जहाँ आसिला जेकोसी गोटिए किबा दुईटा कैरेक्टर को नहीं कि एई प्रकार रो ग्रुपिंग करबा. जो ग्रुपिंग रे कि अनरिलेटेड ऑर्गेनिज्म रहिले एवं एई ग्रुपिंग रो आमे गोटिए एनिमल विषय रे सठिक तथ्य आमे पाई परिबा नाही. सेथि पई दिस सिस्टम ऑफ क्लासिफिकेशन नॉट एक्सेप्टेड. Another example, Pliny differentiate the animal into two groups, flying and non-flying. Flying and non-flying. One character, उड़ीबा animal, न उड़ीबा animal. गोटिए character को नेकी Pliny divide कर दे दुईटा group कले. क्षेत्रीय से देखी दिले कोना? The flying animals like bird, bat, insect. They are flying animals, but they are totally different from each other. ये माने समस्ते परस्पर ठारो अलगा, but they show heterogeneous assemblage of organism in this system of classification जोटो कि हमें सठिक तथ्य हमें पाई परिबा नाही गोटे निर्दिष्ट एनिमल विषय and this type of classification later on modified by Linnaeus in the natural system of classification. Then next classification is the natural system of classification. What is natural system classification? That means this system based on specific characters, grouping of animals. This in this system classification, grouping of animals. What is the classification? Grouping of animals on the basis of their of their structural resemblances. Structural grouping of animals on the basis of their structural resemblances. So this type of classification given by Linnaeus, given by Carolus Linnaeus. So this system of classification is Linnaeus system of classification. So this system of classification is said to be Linnaeus system of classification. This system of classification avoid this heterogeneous assemblage of organism. Natural system classification avoid this heterogeneous assemblage of unrelated organism. Avoid this heterogeneous assemblage and unrelated organism. Heterogeneous and unrelated organism को से avoid करतिले ए सिस्टम ऑफ क्लासिफिकेशन नेचुरल सिस्टम ऑफ क्लासिफिकेशन रे हेटेरोजेनस ग्रुप को निया जाय नथिला एवं एठी से पांचटा टैक्सन को यूज करथिले ही यूज्ड 5 taxons. He used 5 specific words to represent a particular group of animals. Those taxons are kingdom, class, order, genus, and species. Class, order, genus, and species. Linnaeus used 5 taxons. What is taxon? Taxon hochi a specific word used to represent a particular group of animal. गोटे निर्दिष्ट ग्रुप ऑफ एनिमल को रिप्रेजेंट करिया पई गोटे स्पेसिफिक वर्ड यूज करा जाउछि. That word is said to be the taxon. जेमिति कि एनिमल किंगडम सब गुड़ाक एनिमल all type of animals ताको रिप्रेजेंट करिया पई गोटे टैक्सन यूज करा गला. दैट इज द किंगडम. प्रत्येक प्रकारर एनिमल each and every type of individual को रिप्रेजेंट करिया पई आ गोटे टैक्सन यूज करा जाय छी. दैट इज सेड टू बी स्पीशीज. The taxons are kingdom, class, order, genus, and species used by Linnaeus in his system of classification. And he divides the animals into 6 groups. Linnaeus ताकर system of classification से animal मानन को 6टा ग्रुप रे से भाग करथिले. सेथिरु फर्स्ट ग्रुप थिला हमरो मामल bird, mammal, स्तन्यपायी प्राणी, bird है हमरो पक्षी गुड़ाक, then amphibian, उभयचर, all fishes, insects and worms. Mammal, bird, amphibian, fish, insect and worm. 6 प्रकारर ग्रुप से करते Linnaeus divide the animals into 6 groups. Those are mammal, bird, amphibian, fishes, insects and worms. Later on, this system of classification modified to modern system of classification. Modern system of classification is the expansion of natural system of classification. So, what is the main difference between this artificial and natural system classification? This classification given by Aristotle and this classification given by Carolus Linnaeus. This classification is based on a comparison of 1 or 2 characters in deciding the position of a group, and this classification is based on grouping of animals on the basis of the structural resemblances. Number 1. Number 2. This shows heterogeneous assemblage of unrelated organisms and avoid the heterogeneous assemblage of unrelated organisms. Linnaeus used taxons, no taxons used in this classification, and divides the animals into 6 different groups, divide the animal into 2 different groups. This system not accepted and modified to modern system of classification. Then another more point, the system of classification, it includes phylogeny and evolutionary trends which based on the constancy of species. Constancy of species, that means जो species आसीगला से species constantly से form रे ही से रहुची, जेमति कि हमर पक्षी माने किबा amphibian नबा में किछि बेंग को जदि नबा जो माने कि बहुत आगुरु से माने पृथ्वी रे आज पर्यंत से माने रहिछ, that is the constancy of species. Next, the modern system of classification. Expansion of Linnaean system of classification is said to be modern system of classification. It is the expansion of Linnaean system of classification. Expansion of Linnaean system of classification, and this is well accepted classification. जो classification का मैं वर्तमान पढ़ुछे से होचे हमरो modern system of classification, and in this classification 7 taxons are used. 7 taxons are used in this classification. Those are kingdom, in modern system classification, 7 taxons are used. Those are kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. Species, the lowest taxon. That means each and every type of animal is considered to be a species. Group of related species together form genus. A group of related genus together form family. A group of related family together form order. A group of order related order together form class, a group of class together form phylum, and a group of phylum together form the kingdom, the animal kingdom. Animal kingdom divided into several phyla, which later divided into several classes, classes divided into order, order divided into family, family divided into genus, and genus includes more than species. Different type of species are present, and millions of species present in the living world. And this type of classification based on this type of classification based on morphological character. Morphology. What is morphology? Study of external feature. Body ro bahar character को लेके या को classification करा जाइछि. Then internal structure जोटा का मैं कहबा anatomy. Anatomy, study of internal structure. Their lifestyle. सेमानकर चलनी एवं सेमानकर physiological function. Physiology. सेमानकर विभिन्न organ गुड़ाकर functioning को नहीं एवं सेमानकर breeding, reproduction period, reproduction. इस सब गुड़ा को नहीं कि हमारा classification करा जाए in the modern system of classification. So there are three different type of classification: artificial system, natural system, and modern system of classification. The first classification artificial, not accepted, as it shows heterogeneous assemblage of unrelated organisms. But modern system of classification is well accepted. जो classification को हम आज पढ़ुचे. This is for today only. Thank you. See you in the next class.